The sound of gunfire cracked through the terminal like a whip. Screams erupted, bags dropped, people scattered. Some hit the ground, others just froze. Near Gate 9, a black man in a gray hoodie collapsed, a spreading patch of blood darkening his shoulder. It all happened in less than 30 seconds. 3 shots fired. 2 missed. 1 grazed his upper arm. The officer who pulled the trigger, Brent Kessler, stood trembling, his gun still raised, chest heaving. His voice cracked as he barked into his radio, sweat pouring down his face. Shots fired. Suspect down. Yeah, that happened. The man on the floor didn't move for a moment. Then slowly, eerily calm, he lifted his head and looked around. Blood seeped through his sleeve. Security swarmed in. Weapons drawn. Passengers ducked behind counters. Some pulled out phones to film, whispering, "Why did they shoot him?" He didn't even fight back. Behind the check-in desk, Elena Ruiz froze. 25, new to the TSA, fresh-faced, but clinging to some idea of right and wrong. She'd just seen a man walk in. Calm, cooperative, no threats, no raised voice. Just a polite guy with a coin in his shoe that set off the scanner. And then, Brent Kessler had stepped in. Elena's stomach twisted. She watched as Kessler's panic spiraled into something darker, prejudice thinly veiled as instinct. The man held his bleeding arm, eyes sharp, not panic, but calculating, like he knew something they didn't. Paramedics asked for ID, but he refused. "Just tell them Mr. M was here," he said quietly. That man was Logan Miles. Hours earlier, Logan had left a small tech conference downtown Savannah, dressed down in his gray hoodie and jeans. Nothing screamed CEO or billionaire, because he wanted it that way. No flashy suits, no entourage. Logan was founder and CEO of Valeric Systems, a multi-billion-dollar cybersecurity giant, one of those rare Fortune 100 leaders who shunned the spotlight. But today wasn't about business. It was about experience. Because a few weeks before, his cousin Caleb had been racially profiled in an airport. No weapons, no threats, just suspicion. And Logan wondered, how many times had he escaped that kind of treatment simply because of who he was? So today, he walked through security like any other black man in America. But Kessler saw threat where there was none. Black man, hoodie, confident stride. Something set his gut off. "He's hiding something," Kessler muttered. Elena rolled her eyes but stayed quiet. Logan smiled politely, greeted Brent by name even. But when the scanner beeped on that coin in his shoe, Brent's tone snapped. "Step aside, hands behind your back." Logan complied, calm as ever. But Brent didn't care about coins. He cared about control. Seconds later, chaos. Brent drew his weapon, yelling commands nobody asked for. Then a shot fired without warning. Elena's hands shook as she recorded the moment on her smartwatch, her heart sinking. Logan didn't resist. He didn't lunge. He just bled on the cold tile. Brent Kessler's official story? He acted in self-defense. But Elena knew better. She saw the video again and again. The man was compliant. The shot was reckless. The fear was manufactured. And for the first time in her short TSA career, she made a choice, truth over silence. What nobody knew then was that Logan Miles, bleeding on the floor, was about to change everything. Within minutes, the airport erupted. Travelers screamed. Some ran, others hid. Brent stood over Logan, hands trembling but voice steady with false authority, barking into his radio, trying to sound calm. Suspect neutralized. Gun drawn in self-defense. Elena flinched at the word neutralized, a cold dismissal of a man's life. But the real shock was just beginning. Logan didn't call the press, didn't sue. Instead, with that same quiet calm, he tapped a contact, activated phase 1 of a plan nobody saw coming. 10 minutes after the shooting, Logan Miles began the purchase of Terminal B at Savannah International. Yeah, he bought the entire terminal. No public connection, just pure leverage. The next morning, headlines screamed. Black CEO buys terminal days after being shot. Clips of Logan's speech went viral. Walk Softly became a movement, a meme, a rallying cry. People debated, shared, and argued. Some called it poetic justice. Others, a masterclass in restraint. But all agreed on one thing. Logan had flipped the script. Inside the terminal, a staff meeting was called. Jared Phelps. While board member Patricia Green dropped a bomb, Kessler had 3 buried complaints for racial profiling. Jared slammed his fist, demanding Kessler's immediate removal. The union fought back. By the time they realize who you are, half their control is gone. Logan wasn't after revenge. He wanted accountability. Not a headline. A system change. Back in Savannah, his phone buzzed with an anonymous message. You have no idea who you just messed with. Fear finally crept in where arrogance once stood. Then, in a bold move, Elena leaked the video to Tyler Finch, a scrappy journalist who quickly went viral. The nation watched, debated, demanded justice. At a crisis meeting, airport leaders realized the game had changed. They had sold Terminal B, blindly, to the very man they nearly killed. Logan's first public speech as owner was electric. Standing before the crowd at Gate 9, he asked, "What happens when a man walks into an airport and gets shot for existing?" The silence that followed was heavy. Then he revealed his identity. Gasps filled the room as Logan Miles, the man bleeding on the floor days before, stood as owner of the terminal. He praised Elena for her courage, promoted her on the spot, and announced Kessler's permanent ban and a federal investigation. Logan unveiled AirGuard, an AI-powered security system designed to replace profiling with behavior-based screening. No bias. No guesswork, just real security. "I'm asking for $500 million to roll this out," he said. "I'll match half from my own money. No profit for 3 years." A voice from the crowd challenged him. "You're building a whole new TSA?" Logan replied flatly, "I'm building a replacement." Months later, Logan faced Congress. Amid partisan questions and political posturing, he made it clear. It shouldn't take wealth and power to be treated like a human being at an airport. "I bought a terminal to show the world the problem, but I'm here to fix the system." When a representative challenged him about overreach, Logan said, "Better that than a system where people get shot and no one cares." His lawyers submitted hundreds of victim statements, and the political storm intensified. Back in Savannah, Elena led town halls with the community, sharing the vision of equity and justice. Then, in a powerful moment, Kessler appeared, thinner, humbled, and publicly apologized. "I shot an innocent man because I couldn't see past my fear," he admitted. The room held its breath. Logan refused to turn the moment into a shrine. "We don't need monuments. We need progress," he said, walking away to carry a movement bigger than any grudge. As Logan looked out over the terminal, a young boy tugged his mother's sleeve and said, "That's the guy who bought the airport." Logan smiled. "You belong here, kid. You don't have to prove that to anyone." And that's the question for all of us. What do we do when the system fails? Do we accept it? Or do we walk softly, carry a bigger pen, and rewrite the rules? If this story moved you, share it. Talk about it. Question what's normal. Because real change doesn't start in boardrooms. It starts when you refuse to stay quiet. So what's your take? Was justice served? Or is this just the beginning of a longer fight? Drop your thoughts, share your story, and keep the conversation alive.